Introducing R1, your pocket companion.
This is a virtual assistant in a box.
Does practically nothing. I also think it's a complete waste of money.
Imagine buying the latest tech only to find it riddled with bugs. Discover the shocking programming issues plaguing the Rabbit R1 and what you need to know. What if the device you trusted to keep your conversations private was actually exposing them to the world? In June 2024, a shocking revelation shook the tech community. The Rabbit R1, a device that had been hyped as the next big thing in AI, was found to have a serious security flaw. This wasn't just a small mistake, it was a huge problem that could put every user's privacy at risk. Let's start at the beginning. The Rabbit R1 first appeared at CES, a big technology show in January 2024. People were excited about it, even though some experts thought it might not be as great as the company claimed. The CEO used a lot of fancy words to describe the R1, which made some people suspicious.
The R1 is a fully standalone device, primarily driven by natural language.
But that didn't stop the device from selling out quickly when it became available for pre-order. However, as time went on, people started to realize that the R1 wasn't living up to the hype. It turned out to be little more than an Android app in a special case.
The future of reality is a topic that has captivated the minds of philosophers and thinkers throughout history.
Some people even found that the company behind the R1 had been involved in some questionable crypto and NFT projects in the past. When people finally got their hands on the R1, many were disappointed to find that it wasn't very useful. But the worst was yet to come. On June 27, 2024, news broke that the R1 had a massive security flaw. This wasn't just a small bug, it was a mistake so big that it's hard to believe professional developers could have made it. The problem? The company had put important secret codes called API keys directly into their software where anyone could find them. These keys are like passwords that let the R1 talk to other services it needs to work. By leaving these keys where anyone could find them, Rabbit basically gave away the keys to its entire system. A group of tech-savvy people who called themselves Rabbito found this problem. They had been trying to figure out how the R1 worked by looking at its code. On May 16, they announced that they had found API keys for several important services right in the R1's code.
And sometimes doesn't even find the right answer.
What is this?
This appears to be a waffle maker. This appears to be a sponge being held in someone's hand.
It's just a chip.
These included keys for 11 Labs, which turns text into speech, Azure, Microsoft's cloud service, Yelp for restaurant information, and Google Maps. The most dangerous key they found was for 11 Labs. This service is what the R1 uses to turn its text responses into speech. Every time you talk to the R1, it has to use this service. That means if someone got hold of this key, they could see every single thing the R1 has ever said to anyone. Most people think that someone inside Rabbit might have leaked the code. What's really surprising is how Rabbit responded to this problem. According to Rabbito, the company knew about the exposed API key for a whole month before the news became public. Instead of fixing the problem right away, they seemed to have just hoped no one would notice. Fortunately, by the time this news became public, Rabbit had finally changed their API keys. This means that the specific keys that were exposed are no longer usable. However, this situation shows how dangerous it can be when companies don't take security seriously. Why is putting secret codes directly in software such a dangerous mistake, and how can companies avoid it? Putting secret codes like API keys directly into software is a big no-no in the world of programming. Even beginners are taught not to do it. There are several reasons why this is a bad idea. First, if you put a secret code in your software, it's not really a secret anymore. Anyone who can look at your code can find that secret. In the case of the R1, it seems that someone inside the company might have shared the code, but even if that hadn't happened, there are other ways these secrets could have been exposed. If Rabbit had accidentally uploaded their code to a public place, their API keys could have been stolen in minutes. Another problem with putting API keys directly into code is that it makes it hard to change them. Companies should change their API keys regularly, just like you should change your passwords. But if the key is written directly in the code, changing it means changing the code and giving everyone a new version of the software. Also, important secrets like API keys should be protected with extra security. There are special tools like AWS Secrets Manager that can keep these secrets safe and make sure only the right people and programs can use them. When you put the secrets right in the code, you're not using any of these extra protections. This incident serves as a wake-up call for both companies and consumers. For companies, it's a reminder that no matter how exciting a product is, basic security practices can't be ignored. For consumers, it's a reminder to be careful about what information we share with our devices and to pay attention to the security practices of the companies we trust with our data. The story of the R1's security flaw is also a reminder of how complex modern technology has become. The R1 isn't just one device, it's a combination of many different services working together. This complexity can make devices more powerful and useful, but it also creates more opportunities for things to go wrong. Each connection to another service is a potential weak point. In the case of the R1, the connection to 11 Labs turned out to be a major vulnerability.
By integrating 11 Labs voice technology, R1 users can now effortlessly execute advanced commands through voice alone by simply speaking to their device.
Our phones, our smart home devices, our cars, all of these are now complex networks of interconnected services. When they work well, they can make our lives easier and more convenient. But when something goes wrong, the consequences can be serious. Reverse engineering a product or accessing a company's private code can be legally risky, even if the intention is to improve security. As AI becomes more prevalent in our daily lives, we need to ensure that the systems we're building are not just clever, but also robust, secure, and respectful of user privacy. Looking to the future, it's clear that AI will continue to play an increasingly important role in our lives. Devices like the R1, despite its flaws, point to a future where we can interact with AI in a more natural and intuitive way.
I've been testing this thing, the Rabbit R1, for about a week now, and I don't know how to draw any other conclusions about it than that. The R1 has the same big ideas as the Humane AI pin,
but as we move into this future, we need to make sure we're building it on a solid foundation of security and respect for user privacy. While alarming, the Rabbit R1 incident can serve as a valuable lesson for the tech industry and consumers. It reminds us that in our rush to embrace new technologies, we can't forget the fundamental principles of good design and security. It also highlights the ongoing tension between innovation and security in the tech world. That's a wrap on the Rabbit R1's disastrous programming issues. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more tech updates, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Take care, everyone.